Asiedu Nketia, the chairman of the National Democratic Congress, who's been speaking, he says, stop arrogating to yourselves positions and making yourselves kingmakers. And he's described it as worrying, and he's admonishing party faithful to desist from such. Let's listen to what he had to say, then I'll pick your thoughts. So when I come to you, Dr. Osai Kwapong, I'll take your thoughts on both matters to conclude. So let's watch this.
Because we are already convinced that we are there. A lot of people have begun taking positions and fighting over who will be what in the next government. Indeed, some people are not only fighting about the positions they will occupy. They are telling all others that they will be the kingmakers and they will be making their appointment. If we are not careful, this will dampen the enthusiasm and the spirit of our followers. So I want to assure everybody that we are not there yet. Don't be fighting about positions. And don't be struggling about who will make appointments. Let us all go for the hunting first, and when we kill the game, we now argue about how to share the meat.
Johnson Asiedu Nketia, chairman of the NDC there. Dr. Arthur Kennedy, I'll just come to you briefly on that.
Very dispiriting, and I will share here my private prayer if John Mahama should win. I keep thinking of his defeat in 2016, the arrows and slings that went his way, and I hope that somewhere on the road to Damascus there has been a conversion, and if he should be the next president, he will decide that this time he will live on a positive note and be a transformational president. And in my mind, that does not seem like what Asiedu Nketia is presaging. I hope he misspoke. And I hope that we can get to the day when one day a president will leave office and walk by 1,000 meters to his parked cars and have Ghanaians lined on the streets to thank him or her for being an exemplary president. I keep praying for that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arthur Kennedy, for your final thoughts on this matter. Dr. Osai Kwapong.
You know, Nketia say what he said, and very publicly like that. For me, my worry was that it seems like politics is still caught in this cycle of winning is about how you share, quote unquote, the spoils of war.
And mind you, he's talking about meat, like kill the game first and then share the meat. What is the meat?
Precisely, the meat, you know, and for me, as Dr. Kennedy said, it is very dispiriting, right? It seems like our approach to politics and elections and winning still boils down to a sort of a personal reward as opposed to, you know, country first. You know, we keep saying, you know, this adage of for God and country, but it seems like it's really not about God and it's really not about country, right? That even before the election is won, there's already juggling for I want to be X, I want to be Y, because it's like if I am to put time, energy, and resources into campaigning for a particular candidate, then some kind of a personal reward has to come to me. And for him to have also said that publicly, hopefully, is a strong admonishment, you know, to those who are trying to, you know, engage in that. I mean, he still says, let's kill the game first, and then we can figure out how to share the meat. I just hope that for everything that particularly Ghana's main opposition party, the NDC, has been saying about the current government, that they won't be coming in, should they win 2024, with the same mentality that it is a game that has to be shared once we have won the election.
Thank you, Doc, for having joined the conversation as well. I'll wrap in the studio with someone who is actually a member of that party, the National Democratic Congress. Roxanne, you have the final word. How did you feel when you heard your party chairman say that? Because on that same platform, the running mate had said that we are not going to be dealing in corruption and all of that, but this is what he had to say. And I'm asking, what is the meat that eventually will be shared?
Now, first of all, the name of the former American ambassador.
The one I was speaking of.
15 years, Manuel Rocha.
Right.
Rocha.
Yes. I had just his
He's
name.
now 73. He was jailed 15 years.
Yes.
For spying for Cuba.
Exactly.
For like 40 years.
Yes.
So I quickly look it up. So, look, I was happy when generals spoke this way.
You were happy?
I was happy because it was for me calling everybody to order that we have work to do. So you better focus on the work. Regarding what doctor said, that it's as if we talk about...
But please, let's not... He said two things.
Yes.
Don't fight for spoils and all of that. But then he came and said meat, and we go and kill
Yes. No.
Let's focus on that.
That's what I want to address. We have, as part of our governance process, been talking about winner takes all. What does it mean? It connotes the same thing. When civil society and the clergy say that we must move away from the winner takes all, the winners, what do they take? They take the benefits that come from being given the executive power of state. Benefits, i.e., appointing party persons to occupy public portfolios.
The question then is based on what he said. At what point do we stop perpetuating that, making it perpetual? Because, for example, you don't have to necessarily come in and change an IGP. It's a choice. You don't necessarily have to come in and change certain people who are managing CEOs and all of that. It's a choice. We do that because of the politics, not because any law says we should do that.
You know, because the law says you should do that. Read the Constitution.
Do what?
The Constitution says the president will appoint public officers.
Exactly. It doesn't say the president must.
Can I finish?
Go ahead.
That is the power given to the president. I went to court to challenge the president that when he was retained for a second term, he merely directed his DCs to continue in office and added that they ought not to take policy decisions until further notice. And I said that directive meant that he was asking them to continue in office even though his mandate had come to an end and had just been renewed by the people. The Supreme Court said, yes, you may be right, but according to the Constitution in Article 146 and all that, the appointment of DCEs is not coterminous to the term of the president. So, for instance, if the president appoints a DCE today, he's supposed to stay in office for 4 years. He has a 4-year mandate. But the president's term will expire 6 January midnight 2025. So this clarity has been brought to bear. That, for instance, when the president directs that this person should continue, we have to determine whether their mandate to occupy office for 4 years had come to an end or not. So I'm saying that the president, under the Constitution, whenever elected, is given power to make appointments, to disappoint and appoint people. So the president, by making appointments, can remove a person who is in office. That's the point I'm making. So the use of the cliche, the myth, and all that, it's synonymous to winner takes all. Because winner takes all, it's a very common phrase within our governance structure that we say that when we win, the winner takes all. What do they take? Is the spoils of war, is the meat. It's the same phrase that Asiedu Nketia alluded to. But the point for me is that everybody has been called to order within the party. We have to focus on our work. And that people who are also supposedly claiming that there will be kingmakers, it's a fluke, it's an imagination.
All right. We have to go, but this...